In today's episode, I want to talk to you about certain ways that you could be self-sabotaging your beauty.
You Are Beautiful, podcast with Jae Kim, ND.
Welcome to the You Are Beautiful podcast with Jae Kim, MD. I am on a mission to make the world a more beautiful place, and I want to start with you. These are the 3 truths you must embrace and remember. Number 1, you are beautiful. Number 2, you are unique. Number 3, you are worth it. Let's get into today's episode. I want you to achieve the most beautiful version of yourself, and yet there could be things in your life that are preventing you from achieving the most beautiful version of yourself. This is based on a recent podcast by Ed Milet. If you have started your beauty journey, it means that you have seen your current beauty at a certain level, let's say a 5 or a 6 out of 10, and you want to get to a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Because you are changing the current status quo, you want to make sure that the thermostat of your beauty journey goals is set higher. The thing about your beauty journey, or any journey of importance to you for that matter, is that you're treading into the unknown or the unfamiliar. So the tendency is to want to shrink back to what you're familiar with. So here are a few ways that you could be doing that to yourself and inhibiting your journey, your process to achieve the most beautiful version of you. The first way that you could be sabotaging your own beauty journey is by focusing on the past. Of course, when you were younger, you looked more beautiful and more youthful in certain ways. The thing is that you can dwell on what you had because some of that may be hard to achieve again, or you can focus on how you curated that most beautiful version of you when you were younger, which may not work for you now. So in a couple of ways, dwelling on the past of your beauty journey may not be the best way to move forward, because what got you to achieve your beauty in the past may not be the way to achieve your beauty currently and in the years and decades to come. When you were in your teens and or 20s, maybe a drugstore skin care product or a cream or something over the counter may have been enough to achieve a glowy, beautiful version of you. However, now that you're more mature and the aging process continues, those same products that you used to use in your teens and 20s may not be so effective anymore. So one of the ways that you could be sabotaging your own beauty is by trying to rely on what worked for you in the past and say, this has got to work for me now because it did 10, 20 years ago. So the first step in letting go of this thought is to let go of some of the habits and or solutions that you used to have, because they may not be the best solution for you anymore. What you need to focus on is how the current beautiful version of you is going to take the next step and get to the most beautiful version of you. The second way in which you might be self-sabotaging your beauty journey is by focusing on what you do not have. The more that you are focused on what you do not have, the less you will appreciate what you do have. And let me remind you again, my first core tenet is that you are beautiful. If you focus on the aspects of your appearance that you do not like, then you will go down a mental rabbit hole in terms of not realizing that you do have beautiful features and you have a great palette to work with in terms of achieving a more beautiful version of you. For those of you who are in your 40s and 50s, you're not as young as you used to be, and yet you feel young right here, and this is why you are wanting to pursue a more beautiful version of you. When it comes to age and your beauty, there are some advantages you may not have now that you used to have in your teens and 20s. However, if you dwell on what you used to have, or now what you currently do not have, which is age as your advantage, then your mindset will not be in the best place in terms of helping you achieve the most beautiful version of you. This is why I always ask you as patients, what do you find the most beautiful about your appearance? And it gives me an idea of the mindset that you have regarding your beauty, because if you don't find any particular feature of your appearance to be beautiful, then it makes me question whether you have the best mindset to achieve the most beautiful version of you going forward. The third way that you could be self sabotaging your beauty journey is by comparing yourself to others. And this is a very slippery slope, especially today when we have social media, when we have the news and celebrities, and we basically have so much input from the outside world that is filtered, that is curated. Now that AI is in the game, that is artificially generated sometimes in terms of the standards of beauty that we look at and compare ourselves to. Now, this is not to say that we need some kind of blueprint that you want to achieve in terms of your own beauty. And sometimes that is in reference to other beautiful people that we see in the world. However, it is impossible for you to compare your unfiltered, real, true, vulnerable life, your appearance, and compare that to somebody who is just showing their highlight reel over and over again on Instagram. And it's funny that all these beautiful people happen to be on vacation, so they're not just living their best life in terms of their beautiful selves, but they're also doing it in places where you want to go. So it makes you doubly jealous. So that's another rabbit hole that you don't want to find yourself in, because it's a slippery slope. This is about your beauty because you are unique and you are worth it. So if you compare yourself to others, you can easily find yourself considering your beauty to be worth less than those people you're looking at. The fourth way that you could be sabotaging yourself is by focusing on the things that you cannot control. When it comes to your appearance, to your beauty, there are a couple things that come to mind in terms of things that you cannot control. Your beauty is very closely tied to your health. And if you're like me or one of my patients, you are very focused about your health because health comes before beauty. If you're not healthy, you're not going to achieve the most beautiful version of yourself. So, when it comes to health issues, sometimes there are issues that we can't control. We can do our best to exercise well, to eat right, and yet you could be diagnosed with an illness that impacts your appearance or impacts your ability to work on the most beautiful version of yourself. The other thing that comes to mind is the healing process. Now, when it comes to surgery, as a facial plastic surgeon, I always tell my patients, you may have ebbs and flows in your healing process. As much as we want the downtime to be as short as possible, the swelling to be as minimal as possible, there are just some situations where that is not going to go according to the way you exactly hope. Think about facelift surgery, for example. This is a pretty extensive surgery where the deeper tissues are repositioned and resuspended in a more youthful position. This takes a lot of hard work on the surgeon's part, and it takes a lot of work in terms of recovery for you, the patient. When prospective facelift patients ask me, oh, what's the downtime going to be like? I tell them this. In terms of going out to eat without a scarf on and feeling comfortable about it, you're probably looking at about 3 weeks' time. In terms of attending a public formal event like a wedding or a high school reunion, you're probably looking at 3 months until you feel comfortable in your skin with the change after facelift surgery. The recovery process can vary widely. If this is your first facelift surgery, and if you're younger, and if you have no to minimal health issues, then your chance of recovery being smoother or quicker is higher than someone who is in their 60s and 70s, has other medical problems. This is not their first facelift surgery, things like that. However, sometimes, and I tell this to all my surgical patients, I, as the surgeon, do my very best to control everything that I can in terms of how I change your appearance to help you achieve the most beautiful version of yourself. And you, as the patient, carry the responsibility of following all the postoperative instructions. So when it comes to that, I can do my very best on the day of surgery, and you can do your best during the window of recovery time, especially the first couple weeks when it comes to major facial plastic surgery. And yet, there can be other factors that come into play. Many of these things can be factors that you cannot control. So, do you let those uncontrollable factors overwhelm you psychologically? No. The key to it is to trust in the process of healing and of the beauty journey, and to continue to trust in yourself and in me and my staff as we take care of you. The fifth way that you could be self sabotaging your beauty journey is by getting discouraged. When you think about journeys, sometimes there are perils, sometimes there are obstacles. Think about most movies. The story of the hero's journey, there are hurdles that the hero must overcome to get to the other side. For some reason, I'm thinking of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Indiana has to believe that there is an invisible bridge between the cliff where he is and the mountain where he needs to go. And of course, he would get discouraged because that's such an insurmountable gap, seemingly. And yet, he needs to believe that there is a way to get from here to from point A to there, point B. I think about some patients who have laser treatments in the office. And one thing that they call my office saying afterwards is, it's day 1 or day 2 after my laser procedure, and I still look red and really swollen. I can't go out like this, and you might feel discouraged. Our job at the office, my staff and I, is to help reassure you that this, while it can be discouraging, is part of the beauty process. And once you overcome this hurdle, you're going to get to a more beautiful version of yourself. A big part of not getting discouraged is trusting the process of the sequence and the progression of treatments that you're getting here, and also trusting the process of your body reacting to the treatment so that we can uncover a more beautiful version of yourself going forward. The sixth way that you could be self-sabotaging your beauty is by getting distracted. There are so many distractions in the world today. They're right here on your phone. One of the biggest distractions, I think, is seeing other people's beauty, seeing certain products that promise XYZ result without downtime. There are so many different distractions out there. And what distractions do is take away from the mindset that you're in terms of your beauty and how you need to get there. For example, a lot of patients who come to me with droopy, saggy necks think that there are other procedures out there, such as ultherapy or radiofrequency or other laser non-surgical treatments, basically, that are going to help them get a facelift surgery result. These are distractions, okay? For some people who might have mild neck skin laxity or might have a little bit extra superficial fat, yeah, maybe a less involved procedure would be the answer for them. But for you who have the jowls, the saggy neck, the loose skin, the platysma bands, you should not be distracted by this procedure, this device. And this is the best way that I can help you, is with surgery, with a deep plane facelift, to help you get that super straight, super cut jawline, that tucked in chin, to get rid of that double chin of yours, and to help relax and resuspend the neck tissues so that you have a nice number 7 here that you used to have. Don't be distracted by gimmicks that are not going to get you to where you need to go. These are diversions in your beauty journey. You could say that I'm biased because I'm a surgeon. And I would agree with that. As a surgeon, I grew up learning how to operate. Therefore, I am more inclined to think that surgery is the answer for your beauty solution. However, I will acknowledge that for some situations, non surgical treatments are very, very good. They are safe, they're reliable, and in good hands, they can get you the result that you're going for. So, therefore, I'm not going to say that surgery is the only way, but I will say that for some situations where you want to achieve a beautiful version of you that looks a certain way, that surgery is the answer and there is no other way. During your consultation with me, I'm going to try to best help you in terms of not to be distracted when you have this as your beauty goal and this is the best way I know how to get you there. I'm going to try to eliminate the distractions so that we start the journey together to help achieve the most beautiful version of you. The seventh way that you could be self sabotaging your beauty is by experiencing a glimpse of success and then backing off. There are many relatively straightforward ways that you can achieve a more beautiful version of you. It can take you from, let's say, a 5 or 6 out of 10 to, let's say, a 7 out of 10. And, you can name any number of procedures. You can have fillers, you can have Botox, laser, skincare procedures. You can even have certain facial surgeries. And yes, you can achieve a more beautiful version of you. However, if you decide to back away and stop your beauty journey right there, you might be doing yourself a disservice. Take, for example, the patient who has what appears like droopy eyelids, but then they also have low hanging brows. So I see patients like this all the time. You have what appears to be hooded eyelids, when in fact, it may not be that. It may be that your brows are too low. And so you walk in looking like this. If that's you, I always will tell you in consultation that removing the upper eyelid skin will not change this. In fact, it might make it look worse because you're doing this, you're raising your eyebrows to open your eyes. And once you get rid of extra eyelid skin, what you'll inevitably end up doing is not raising your eyebrows anymore. So then your resting brow position could drop even lower, making you look even more angry, even more hooded. And it had nothing to do with your upper eyelid skin. So let's say that someone like that opts for upper eyelid surgery, even though I recommended upper eyelid surgery plus a brow lift. If you taste that glimmer of success, which you will get from having upper eyelid surgery only, and if you stop your beauty journey there, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. Now, you might be happy with that, but I would submit to you that it would not be the most beautiful version of yourself that you could have achieved. You left that on the table. So this is where the idea of a journey comes into play. This is not just a one-stop treatment. Let's say a lot of people come to my office for Botox, and we have a lot of happy Botox patients here. The thing is, if all you do is Botox, let's say you do it once, and then you never do another aesthetic treatment again, yes, you will still be beautiful. However, you left that remaining beauty on the table. When you could have been up here, you chose to stay here. And that's not the way I want you to impact the world. I want you to impact the world in such a profound way with your confidence, with the most beautiful version of yourself way up here. So that's why I always encourage you to take the next step. Oftentimes, I think of beauty journey as a swimming pool. There are different depths of the swimming pool depending on where you are. If you are in the wading area, only your toes, maybe your ankles get wet. And you could have a great time in the wading pool, and you could leave the pool and never come back, and that would be a good experience. However, if you want the most immersive experience in terms of a swimming pool, the best way to do it is to get to the deep end. That way, you have a more complete experience of how much you can enjoy this swimming pool. It's not just the wading pool, it's the deep end. It's the 7 foot, 8 foot area. Heck, maybe you even might try the diving board. So if you're a patient who just decides, hey, I want to do one chemical peel and be done with it for the rest of my life, or one laser treatment, or one Botox treatment, or just upper eyelid surgery, you're missing out. And I think you can impact the world in such a more profound way if you go all the way with your beauty journey. That's what I want for you sincerely, is for you to achieve the most beautiful version of yourself so you can impact the world in such a profound way with your confidence, with you stepping forward in your beauty to impact the world. Here's a bonus one. The 8th way that you could be self-sabotaging your own beauty is by not believing the 3 truths that I always start with in each episode. Number 1, you are beautiful. Number 2, you are unique. And number 3, you are worth it. You must believe those 3 things in order for you not to self-sabotage your beauty. And I think it's at the core of it all. Because if those 3 truths are not ingrained in your mind and in your heart, you're not going to follow through with your beauty journey because you won't believe that it's worth it for you. I sincerely do believe that it's worth it for you. And I want to help you achieve that most beautiful version of yourself. That's how I achieve my mission to make the world a better place, a more beautiful place, and it starts with you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the You Are Beautiful podcast with Jae Kim, MD. Until next time, remember these 3 things. You are beautiful, you are unique, and you are worth it. Take care.